This is Fantology.
You may have heard of us.
All right, what's up, Lowborn? This is Steven, your host with Fantology Podcast. I have my lifelong friends, Jake and Josh, on. We're talking House of the Dragon, Season 2, Episode 7, and things are heating up.
Quite literally.
Very much so. Lots of fire. Yeah, lots of fire, lots of burning this episode.
Yeah.
Steven, you went a little bit soft on the Lowborn and not bastards for the intro.
Yeah,
Jake, Jake wanted bastards.
I want all the bastards. I think the point is, yes, they are lowborn, and that's a point for Jace to wrestle with, but the point of why they were called is because they're bastards, right? Like that's why they're there. It's because of all the Targaryen blood. Yeah.
Lowborn alone does not a dragon rider make.
Yeah. That we know of. I mean,
Nope.
they're getting all their information from those scrolls, and those scrolls are definitely, like, in some way propaganda for the Targaryens and Valyrians in general, right? Like if a lowborn of any house could have claimed a dragon, they probably still would have written only dragon lords can claim a dragon. But
I could see that. I mean, they were using the scrolls, and then in this episode, Massaria said the scrolls are a waste of time at this point. Just go off my info.
Yeah.
So about that, can that lead into kind of a not a serious conversation, but like I have big questions around dragons and selecting their riders. Can we talk about that? I mean, I know you guys probably don't know the answers, but I just
we can talk about it, but I think
between Steven and I, we know all the answers. Yeah.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we have all the answers, but unfortunately, not all the answers to your questions have actually been revealed. If they have been revealed, we would of course know the answers. But I think a lot of the answers to your questions are going to be like, we don't know. George R. R. Martin hasn't really said.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, this episode kind of brought it all pretty front and center. So, and spoilers, I guess, for the full episode. But so we have what are there? We have Olm and Ulf and
Ulf the White and Hugh.
Ulf the White and Hugh. Okay, so Hugh. So at first, what's the dragon's name?
Vermithor
and Silverwing. Right? So at first, even though Hugh was in that group of people at the outset, Vermithor didn't really detect him and just
he eyed him right away. No, he eyed him
kind of, but still decided that he was going to burn them all.
Dude,
right?
Hugh had to prove himself to Vermithor.
Right. Okay, so we have Hugh having to prove himself. We have in the previous episode, Adam. It seemed like Storm. Oh, what's the star? Sorry, I'm so bad with dragon names. Storm.
Sea
Smoke. Yeah.
Sea Smoke was able to smell him from a mile away, literally. Right, he was able to pinpoint him forever away and then hone in on him. And then you have Vermithor that needed some active courage to bond. And then you have Silverwing.
Yep.
That it didn't matter. He was pretty cowardly, and
he just needed some deference or something.
Yeah. So we have three different, massively not contradictory, I would say, because I think maybe what we take away is that there are no rules. But three pretty different scenarios.
You don't think dragons have personalities, Josh?
Yeah, it's like cats. They're basically cats.
That's true. That's true. And cats are pretty finicky.
They're finicky. The only rule is they have unconfirmed, but it seems like so far it's they don't bond more than one person at a time. But they can be friendly to more than one
even that
person.
with Sea Smoke. Even that with Sea Smoke, we don't know for sure. I mean, that bond was broken, but we don't know if it was broken by death or by
that's why I'm saying
distance.
Up to this point, I think most people have. I've seen a lot of theories that Laenor is dead because
which is why Sea Smoke was agitated in that one episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's the only and that's not even confirmed really. But they can be friendly with more than one person, like John rode on
One of
Was it? Did
yeah.
he write on Drogon? He wrote on one of them. I can't remember which one. But he wrote a dragon, and then Vermithor
Although,
was friendly enough with.
I mean, I think
Rhaenyra.
people kind of hate that happened.
Okay.
Like,
Okay. Yeah. That's true. Okay.
yeah.
Let's not count anything post Martin's involvement with Game of Thrones. Vermithor was friendly with Rhaenyra, and by friendly I mean not aggressive. Like he recognized her as, you know,
as a dragon lord.
friendly, not but didn't bond. Yeah, as a dragon lord. And I don't think it was so much that like I don't think there are any rules like you have to prove yourself brave, you have to do these things. It's literally just the dragon sizes you up based off their personality and what they sense in you. It's kind of like a warg bond. That's kind of how I've viewed it. Some sort of magical connection that way. Because there's so many different, like there's like people who bond dragons when they are like hatchlings, people who bond dragons much later, like Aemon bonding with Vhagar, like he did show bravery there, but then you also have people like what's Daemon's daughter's name? That's currently
Baela?
dragonless.
Or
Rhaenyra.
Rhaenyra does not have a dragon.
Yeah,
Rhaenyra does not.
Rhaenyra, didn't they say Rhaenyra tried to tame Vermithor at one point and then got chased away? And
I don't remember if it was Vermithor
so I mean that was an
Vhagar. Or no, Vhagar was their mother's dragon, so it wouldn't have been.
Vhagar, one of them though.
Yeah, but yeah, she did try, certainly.
Yeah. Anyways, so I don't think it's like I don't think there's anything like you have to prove your worth. I think from the get-go, Vermithor saw dang, what's his name? Strong.
Hugh Hammer.
Hugh Hammer. Yeah. Strong guy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Strong is kind of
I know.
Strong is another. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. It was a misnomer on my part. But Hammer guy, Hugh Hammer, like he noticed him from the beginning. He kind of eyes him, and I think it's debatable whether that was like, oh, I'll bond with you, or if it was more like, oh, you are someone I could bond with if approached by you, you know. So that's my take on it. That was kind of ranty, and then Silverwing, it just looked like, oh, a human wants to bond me, okay, like you'll do. Totally misreading the situation. So I think we get
honestly,
like you're saying.
I'm not sure how different that is from what was described in the books, but part of it might have been they wanted to make an interesting visual and they wanted to show like different ways of bonding a dragon and not have like the same sequence over and over. So, I mean, from that perspective, I think it makes sense as an artistic decision.
Yeah, the storytelling, you have very distinct dragon riders now, you know.
Also, yeah, I do like that. Also, Stephen, you were like giving me a hard time a few episodes ago for not thinking about the different people that could bond dragons, and I think I identified like most of the people that ended up bonding the dragon.
Good job. What are you looking for here, Josh?
just a little bit. You were like, I felt dumb after the recording. I'm like, who am I forgetting? That's so obvious that I think that they should bond. And then like all the names I threw out like Hugh, I threw out Ulf, and then I threw out one of the brothers. And then you're like, yeah, I was just getting them right,
dude. I didn't want to give it away for.
I don't know. I felt like I was just swinging, like, you know, swinging and missing on all of them. But well, okay, all right.
Got to get poker face, I guess.
I guess so.
So after making those guesses, when you were watching this episode, Josh, what was your prediction for before anything happened when they're all gathered in front of Vermithor?
Yeah, I mean, so that is kind of the weird thing is I felt like in order to really make that work, and maybe they did this with the knights, with the Kingsguard person that got smoked in the beginning, but it kind of felt like everybody that they set up as getting a dragon like ended up getting a dragon, you know. So that was.
What did you think? What did you think as you're watching it? Did you expect that?
Kind of in my head.
Like, did you expect both Ulf and Hugh Hammer to get a dragon?
Like at one level, I expected that they could get a dragon. I didn't know if it was going to be like one of those subvert your expectation moments and everybody just gets roasted. And you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if you would have had to pressure me into like 50-50, like you're saying, I would probably say like, oh, 50-50. I don't know which way it's going to go. But not disappointed in the fact that it's a really cool thing that happens and sets up well, but a little bit like kind of just straight easy storytelling that didn't really, you
Yeah.
know, get too crazy with it or anything, which is fine. It did it well, but it wasn't like a mind-blowing thing.
I do think the show did it well enough to where, like you said, going into it, like having read the book and understanding where the book goes, I was still like, I don't know where the show's going to actually go with this, you know? I did think it was like 50-50 enough that way. I do think if George R. R. Martin were writing, like fully in control of writing this, you'd get more of really building up some people and kind of others
Yeah.
not so much, and then the people built up would probably die in like a
Well, I mean,
abrupt,
he
if
literally had that
funny.
plot
Well,
line in one of the later books, but
yeah, that's what I was referencing with about calling out, but yeah.
yeah,
So
I
yeah,
mean, I feel
so
like we can,
I
yeah,
think
yeah.
spoilers for all books then,
No, I
besides
don't want to. I don't want to get things
Fire and
spoiled.
Blood.
Well, I mean, I guess
You
I,
haven't read the books?
Game of Thrones? No,
Yeah,
I
I
haven't.
thought you had. Oh, okay.
No,
Okay. Well,
I've read the first two, but I'm saving to read all of them until we actually have a release date because I don't want to have to go back and reread them. You know,
yeah,
anyway.
a buddy of mine just read them all and makes me want to read them again, and I'm suffering that same thing. Like, I don't know if I
Yeah,
want to.
yeah.
uh-huh.
Anyways, I do think it was done well enough for that. Like, I was like wondering if people who hadn't read the book, if they were going to think that Ulf would actually be the one who tames Vermithor, and Hugh would be eaten because he like to do that subversion, make it go. But I will say, I feel like this was one of the weakest writing moments of House of the Dragon in general. It's a horrible idea. In what world is it a good idea that you have multiple dragons you want tamed, and you put all of the people you know who could possibly tame the dragons that are multiple in one spot where one of the dragon could kill them all? Like, just because they
It's
can't bond Vermithor doesn't mean they couldn't bond another dragon that you want bonded.
yeah.
Like, this was
Yeah.
almost like season 8 levels of bad writing for that one scene, in my
That was
opinion.
pretty dumb.
On the other hand, just play devil's advocate. If you were to like line them up and say one at a time, like, okay, go in, good luck, right? And then people are just like dying. You might scare off most of your candidates.
That's true.
But you're bet like, except for the fact that he stumbled upon Silverwing, you're getting one dragon at best out of that scenario. You know, I just don't think it was set up well. I think it made for an interesting thing to watch, but then when you think through the logic of it, it was like, that is like, there was no good
Yeah.
strategy behind that.
I don't know if you what if you do like like the expected value of like if you were to like or like game theory,
No,
if
I don't
you
think. Yeah, I think it's the worst way to go about it game theory wise.
They didn't know about
okay.
game theory back then. The Maesters hadn't discovered it yet.
Yeah, and then the only people who would know about it are the dragon trainers, and they quit on them. So
That was
maybe that's
I
their
did like
pass.
that scene. I did like that scene of
Yeah,
the dragon trainers walking
yeah,
out. That was pretty cool. That to me. Okay, so the other thing that I wanted to talk about is last episode we had talked about how Rhaenyra was just pretty hadn't done very many like morally gray
Yeah, she
things.
was like too good.
She was just too good. This, I think, finally we saw some like morally great things that she did. Like that was definitely,
Mm,
you could say, oh well, she told them that they might die, and so it was on them. But setting it up, like to Jake's point, setting up the way that she did, it all reeked pretty, pretty strongly of just being super ruthless and maybe a little bit
yeah.
over the top. Yeah.
I I do think it's more morally gray than we've seen from her, but I think it's also similar to like developing the paratrooper like airborne uh troops in World War II. Like, very cutting edge and like lots of untested technology, but it was like a Hail Mary because you're in war. And so I kind of viewed it that way. Like, I don't think it was close to her character in the book at this point. Yeah. I think she is still way more sympathetic and less less gray than she was portrayed in the book. But
I mean, I think it did a good job of making her more gray. She was like walking among them, and then she brings them all out there, and she's like, "Okay, good luck. There's nothing more we can do now. It's up to the dragons. See ya." And then she just like stands there and watches it, right? I mean, it was like it was fairly brutal
it was
on her end.
it was
Like
grayer.
she didn't seem like too broken up about it.
Yeah, I agree. It's grayer than we've seen of her, which was cool to see. But I don't know. I've just been seeing some people online talking about how like this makes her worse than Alicent at this point, and I feel like that's like way too far. But
in the end, those people were acting on their own accord and own volition.
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
like
yeah.
if
Exactly.
if she would have rounded them up and
But heavily
against their will,
manipulated. I mean,
no,
that's literally the only choice they had. Like, of course, she knew that they were all going to take that opportunity.
no, well,
Well,
wait,
they
no.
could have
What do you
stayed.
mean?
They could
they
have
could have
just stayed in their
stayed.
normal lives.
Staying in King's Landing is like a death sentence at this point. They're all starving.
No, she's
Mm.
bringing them food.
Yeah, I mean, I think she sent
They're
them
doing
food in
great
order
now.
to. Yeah, she's manipulating the whole population.
I don't know.
No, she sent them food before she even knew about this. She had been
Well,
sending them
yeah,
food.
it's not directly for this, but she's sending them food so she can manipulate them.
I think that's a pretty big
A-
reach. I think that
a rich-
even when she got there, she gave them the opportunity to leave.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
In terms of like morally clearing yourself, like on like a base morality level, I think she did the bare minimum. I think that it does, make her a much more gray character in the fact that it shows that she doesn't really value human life too much, but she didn't strip away anybody's agency in the way that like, she could have done if she was really morally gray or morally bankrupt, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
but
definitely
it's
more.
certainly like a movement in a direction that we haven't seen her character in most of the season.
Well, I don't know. She was still okay with outright
Yeah.
murder when it came to Laenor. Like, even though she didn't kill Laenor, she still killed a, innocent, servant or help person or something.
Yeah, I mean that was more last season. I was thinking just in recent memory. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we all agree it tipped her more towards the gray side. But I guess just to varying degrees from our perspectives.
Mhm.
I think so. At this point, Josh, like, do the blacks have a chance? Or sorry, do the greens have a chance? Because the blacks have a ton of dragons. I don't know the exact count. I think it's like 8 or 9 that are battle worthy. And now they've got at least 2 or 3 that are like of a size to challenge Vhagar. I don't think any of them are as big as Vhagar.
No.
But if it was a 2v1, then it would be pretty likely that they could take out.
But if Aemond had kept on going and not turned around and was ambushed by they would have taken him down. So
yeah.
You haven't read the book. You don't know what's going to happen. Like, is this checkmate?
I think right now it's check for sure. But the thing is that Rhaenyra still doesn't have very much battle experience. This is like, I feel like this was like the long, like in football, this was like a 70-yard pass that got you into like the red zone, but like you still have to score the touchdown. And Rhaenyra like does not have very, very good like red zone game that we know of. Sorry, I'm not very familiar with sports, so hopefully I got those terms correct. But like,
no, yeah, I mean you got the terms correct.
Yeah. But like,
I mean, I see it more as like a Pokemon battle where you've raised up your stats quite a bit, and now you're like ready to just sweep them all.
Okay, fair enough.
That terminology may be going over your head.
I think that they could still
dragon dance.
Rhaenyra could still totally leave herself vulnerable to like, subterfuge or kidnapping. Like she's still very, very much trusting Alan. Is that his name? The brother that got the dragon.
Adam is the one that has
Adam Hall.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And
Or
from what
uphold.
we saw the episode before this one, he had gone kind of on his screed against, the royalty, but that was more, his father. I don't know. It's still like she kind of quickly accepted his allegiance, and she still
What,
doesn't
what did he do that was against the royalty?
well, he just would when he was talking to Adam, he was like, they've always disdained us. They've never like he was trying to get Adam, I think, to like try and go for like becoming legitimate or taking
Legitimacy.
advantage
Yeah.
of his newfound
Yeah.
station.
He's
Um,
he's Adam. He's talking to Alan, his brother. I mean, I think
sorry.
he's
It's so
like
confusing.
upset about not being he's upset about not being recognized by Corliss, and he feels like he's kind of directionless in life and is, just mad at his situation.
So either way, I think that scene felt a little bit shoehorned in. So it's making me think that there is more to that, to him as a character than meets the eye right now, especially with the
Okay.
scene of like of Mel, Mel, shoot uh Mel, her Massaria
Yes.
questioning like, oh, can you really trust him? And Rhaenyra being like, what choice do I have? It's like that's kind of, highlighting, some potential
Okay.
concerns there.
So you pointed out Adam. I mean, she's got two new Dragon Riders that she knows even less, that she just cast into a pit and could have died. Like, do they have any loyalty to her?
uh, I would think a little bit more just because they saw how bad the rule is under Alicent right now, or under Aemond and Aegon.
Okay.
They came
Okay.
from desperation. So if I
But
were her, I'd be like,
Hugh Hammer was literally building the Scorpions, right? For Alicent.
that's true. But he originally got promised that he would be like, originally he was
Well,
commissioned to do that from Viserys. So it seemed like he was loyal to Viserys, and then might have seen backstab by Alicent slash
Well,
Aegon.
Viserys hired
Aegon.
him.
I don't know if Viserys might have originally, like, there was a scene in
That
one
very
or
first in the
episode
first
one or
season,
two.
yeah, in the first season he made
That's
an
right. He
appearance,
he he was in the first season. Yeah.
But
and he
not
was
to build Scorpions though, right?
no,
Like
but
why would
it wasn't to build scorpions, but it was just to prepare for war. I think for the stepstones was
yeah.
the so I think he might have had some allegiance to Viserys, and that might carry over to being, having allegiance
Yeah.
to Rhaenyra.
Yeah.
Either way, he lost his daughter to, mismanagement from
Yeah.
Alicent. So
So
Yeah.
Allison gets all the blame, not Aemond
I'm
Aegon.
I'm saying Alicent for her side. Like I'm speaking of the
Okay.
Greens. I should say the Greens, not
yeah, the
Alicent.
Greens more so, but still, Alicent, she I still
She's a
like Alicent
player.
as a character. Yeah, but it seems like if she was as strong as she needed to be for the situation, she could have prevented a lot of, especially the suffering and death that has gone on. She never really made the small folk a priority, or the, small folk a priority. She never
Yeah.
really,
And she's
tried
smart
to
enough to
teach her things.
recognize what's
Yeah,
happening.
right.
What is she doing right now? Like, she's AWOL. She's rudderless.
Yeah, that was
It seemed
kind of
like
weird.
seemed like she was contemplating suicide at
Kind
that
of.
time, right? Like because when she was like, I'm not sure
Yeah.
if I'm going back at all.
Usually when you see people strip down to a shift and walk into a lake, it's usually they're not coming back out. um, just in like, in the way that those scenes are typically depicted in media, that's kind of what that cues up for. But maybe she was just wanting to,
Yeah,
do some meditation. I don't know.
maybe. I will say I don't know if agree with either of your guys's metaphors for the turning of the tables.
Okay. So let's hear yours.
This whole time I've been trying to come up with my own analogy, but I don't really have a good one. I feel like it's what's up?
You don't agree with ours, but you don't have a good one for yourself.
No, I'm not saying your analogies are wrong. Like the
Okay.
analogy is great. I'm saying it seems like you guys are seeing Rhaenyra as having like the upper hand now. I see her as
Oh,
finally having like even like now she's even when it comes to dragon power. she has more dragons, but she can finally challenge Vhagar to a stalemate rather than dominating Vhagar and the other dragons on the green side. So I see that as more like finally leveling the playing field when it comes to dragon. I think she's still behind on the foot soldiers, depending on the fallout with Daemon and Harrenhal.
Yeah.
But how it still seems like she has way more dragons.
She has more, but they're way smaller. Vermithor is her largest on her side, and it's smaller than Vhagar. It's probably, I can't remember, I watched some video on it. I think it's like 2/3 the size of Vhagar.
Dude, Vhagar
yeah,
is just Vhagar
huge.
is like the Death Star. Like when Vhagar is activated, it's like, oh snap, some planet is gonna get exploded right now.
If in my opinion, if Aemond had continued that flight and found himself facing Silverwing, Rhaenyra's dragon, and
Syrax?
Was Syrax, is that Rhaenyra's?
I feel like Syrax is pretty sure Syrax is Rhaenyra. Not 100%, but I think so.
What was the third dragon there?
And Vermithor was
Vermithor? I didn't know if it was Jace's dragon. If they had faced off, I think Aemond probably would have died. But I think and Vhagar may have died, but at least 2 of those dragons were dying too on Rhaenyra's side. So it's, in my mind, it's not like,
I mean, Rhaenyra is willing to take that trade right now. Once Vhagar is gone, the Blacks win.
But if any 2 dragons died, like that might be her dying too. Like, you know.
Yeah, right. I'm kind of surprised they like, where was Jace and where was Sea Smoke as well?
Yeah, I wasn't sure which the third dragon was. I couldn't remember if it was Jace's Sea Smoke or Vermithor, but I guess.
Well, I'm pretty sure. I mean, Silverwing was definitely there because he was chasing.
Yeah, because they chased him, and then Syrax was there.
And I'm sure it was Vermithor because it was big bronze dragon right next to Rhaenyra. Maybe they just wanted a cool shot, and they could only fit 3 dragons in, and 5 was just like too much.
Yeah. Anyways, just to say, I think the playing field has finally been leveled when it comes to dragon power. So it's still not like there's no domination there. And depending on how Daemon plays out with Harrenhal, I think the options are the Tullys do not rally the way he wants them to still, or like I feel like we're still kind of questioning Daemon's loyalty in a way. So he might, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's still up in question, like what he's going to do if he does even get those foot soldiers. So, but
I feel like if Aemond was smart, he would just kind of park Vhagar above King's Landing and have him spin around and spit fire at all the approaching dragons. Like, because he's just got to defend King's Landing, and he knows that Rhaenyra doesn't want to destroy the whole city. So you put Vhagar above, you just defend, you fight him off, and then, I don't know, you hope to get an advantage somewhere else.
No, then they can still get starved out, though.
Yeah. Well, yeah, then you have that happening. Well, that would be like the counter move, right? But Aemond can't send Vhagar out too far afield because he would get swarmed and taken down. He would take, maybe 2 dragons with him, but
yeah. Which if Rhaenyra could be that strategic, I think she would go for that play. Send 3 to 5 dragons at Vhagar. But
I mean, that's what she tried. She tried to kind of, or actually, did she try that, or was that just like Ulf randomly going on a first ride with Silverwing? That's the thing that kind of bugged me about the episode. Is like this random thing, and then it like turned into this, big brain play by Rhaenyra to try to trap.
I don't think it was
well, Hayden called it.
I don't think it was a big brain play.
Hayden, when I was texting him, Hayden's on a lot of these episodes, and when I was talking to him about it, he called it like a military training, like a military exercise. But
I just interpret it as literally like he bonded Silverwing, Ulf, and then hopped on top, and then that's just what happened. That's the vibe I got from. Yeah. Like Silverwing's like, let's go fly, and he's like, I don't know what I'm doing. She's flying. But
And then back at Dragonstone, they're like, this is an opportunity. Let's see if Aemon chases after him.
I don't think that was part of the plan at all. I think it was just Vagar came up and they probably had warning that a dragon was coming, and so positioned themselves to try to like
Oh, okay. Okay, sure.
intimidate. Like I just assumed that everything was kind of reactionary. There was no like
Mm.
big brain strategy.
So I know, sorry, I know we only have a few minutes left, but I also want to talk about Damon, because he was the other really interesting
Yeah.
character this
Yep.
episode. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So
First
stuff
of all,
finally happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
First of all,
what's your
this whole thing could have been done in 2, maybe tops 3 episodes. There's no reason it needed 6 episodes to get, have Damon go through this arduous plot line. But we've talked about that pretty much every episode.
I just feel like they didn't know what to do with him.
I do too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they knew like he had to start at point A, end at point B, and they had no like
No
C to put in the
exciting
middle.
side quests to put.
So-
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're just like, let's let
And
Matt
rather
Smith
than-
act and direct and
Yeah.
try to get some more depth on the character, which they did, but
They did.
at expense of like action.
Yeah.
Any sort of momentum for the character. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. We do see his character get less gray, or I guess should we say more gray if he's black and Rhaenyra
Yeah.
is white.
I
in this
think
season.
more gray. Yeah.
Yeah, more gray.
Less unhinged.
Less unhinged. Like you could tell he was shook after slaying or executing the Blackwood Lord.
Mhm.
So that's been some interesting character development. I think it kind of put in question that scene with Viserys. Like, does he still want the throne? Does he want any of that sort of power anymore?
I think that scene with Viserys was great to add after that moment. That really that was a big jolt to the viewer to be, oh, okay. Oh, we see, where this is going for his character.
And as much as his plotline has dragged this season, I love what the directing they've done with him just like losing time, not knowing like what's happening at any moment and just being in this fever dream state. I feel like that's been done really well and has made like his POVs really interesting to follow.
Mm-hmm.
But
I agree with that.
Any predictions?
They've done some interesting like camera stuff. Like after he cut off the head of the Blackwood, it's just like ringing. It's just, you as the viewer, you get the same sense of just like what is going on that he is and questioning everything. And I think it really adds up nicely.
It could have easily cut back to before he had executed him. You know what I mean? Like it really gave you the sense of not knowing when he even was, like, did that happen? Is he going to wake up? Like, what's even reality? So
big props to Oscar though. I mean,
yeah, he
that
played
kid,
that off.
That kid, man, he acted his heart out. Where's that kid been? He rocked it.
I saw someone say if he had married Lady Mormont from Game of Thrones, if they ever existed at the same timeline and married each other, like their dynasty would rule the 7 kingdoms for ages.
So true. Oh, that's awesome.
Any predictions for episode 8, Josh, for how it's gonna end?
Oh shoot, I don't know, man. That was kind of one of my critiques coming off this episode, is I still don't really know what they're building to. I assume some sort of Dance with Dragons, some sort of climax where maybe something has to happen. Like I just don't know exactly what it's going to be. I don't know
who's
if
going to be the aggressor here,
Yeah, if I had to guess, I think that there's going to be some sort of ground invasion. Maybe even, I don't know, could they were talking about forming an alliance with the steps, the triarchy. So maybe there's some sort of ground invasion on Dragonstone. Is that the name of it?
Sea invasion. Yeah.
Sea invasion. Yeah. Like, but actually attacking them.
So they're going to they're going to focus on like breaking up the blockade first.
Yeah. We'll see. Yeah. We'll see. I don't know exactly.
Yeah.
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 But there's been a lot of hints, a lot of buildup, but no sort of real like, oh my gosh, I can't wait until this happens in next episode, which I don't know if I love that, but we'll see how well it pays off, I guess.
Yeah.
That's fair. I mean, some books, it's very obvious what we're going to get to, like what the big thing is at the end. And
Like with
I,
the Battle of the Bastards, you knew that whole season was kind of leading up.
Yeah.
But with this, it's like I don't know. I don't know what it's leading up to.
Nice
Hmm.
bastard callback. Yeah. Nice connection there. I don't know if this is too soon for their character arcs, but it would be interesting to have Rhaenyra and Daemon reconnect in the finale. But
You
I
would
don't know
hope
if
that
that
they
makes
would.
sense. I just don't know if that makes sense for where Damon's at, you know.
He doesn't
Mhm.
hasn't figured himself out yet.
Yeah.
He still needs some space to soul
Yeah,
search.
I could see that scene with Viserys kind of being the capstone to his arc, but I could also see it just being another significant point along the way. So
and it seems like just with the situation and geographically, if they were trying to like force a big character reconciliation, something between those two characters, it would kind of be forced in there. Like,
No, they have dragons.
they can find each other.
They can
yeah,
fly.
yeah.
Why can't I mean
Like
how long of a flight is that? That's like what,
Well, they're
a
not going to
day?
just directly fly over. Like, I got to go talk to Damon. Like,
Why not?
they would have to come together naturally. I feel like
Yeah.
in the course of whatever fighting's happening, their forces would need to come together.
Why
If
can't
they're
Damon just
gonna
be like, I got it worked out here. I'm going home.
he could do that, but just like
Mm,
cinematically, like if they were to reconnect outside of like just he flew home and then it's like Damon has arrived and they have like a dialogue scene, I assume it'd be more something like a battle is happening and then Damon comes in and maybe you're questioning whether he's going to like how he's going to play out the battle. Is he going to seize power for himself or is he going to fully support Rhaenyra, you know? And I don't know. I don't see that battle
mm.
being over the stepstones, but maybe I feel like that would if that were to happen, that would be a battle closer to King's Landing. And I don't think we're that far yet. So I'm not sure. But
Yeah, honestly, I don't remember enough of like what happens when I
yeah.
know, I know the big events, but a lot happens in a short amount of time
Yeah.
coming up, and it's hard to remember. Like, so I'm gonna have trouble knowing how close to
Same.
the book events they're sticking. And honestly, they don't need to. They could just kind of do whatever at this point. I feel like they've done a pretty good job of sticking with the writings, though.
Yeah. Yeah. Broad strokes for sure.
Yeah.
And is it expected to have two more seasons after this or one more?
I don't. They said I want to say four,
Four seems
but not
right. But yeah.
sure. Four seems right. Three seems like a little rushed to wrap everything up in three.
That
Because there's
definitely
still,
seems like too
I,
much.
I mean, I said there was a lot that happens in a short amount of time, but there's still a lot to happen. So
Yeah, and they've sped up a lot, like with Aegon's recovery. So
yeah, yeah, he's doing great. Other
yeah.
than the scarring is not great, but you know, he's making some progress.
Making some progress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I felt a little more compassion towards Larys Strong in that scene, as a quick aside. Like you could see
Hmm.
him, like it felt like he was truly empathizing with Aegon rather than just being
Yeah.
manipulative. So it's good to see that side of him.
I like he was doing both.
Oh, definitely. There was still manipulation happening. Like he didn't turn that off, but I saw more humanity in him than I feel like has ever been shown
Yeah.
in the season.
Yeah.
It could have just been
That's
how I
right.
interpreted it, but
Yeah.
yeah.
All right. If you want to check out more from Phantology, you can hop on our Discord. Links to the Discord invites are in the episode description below. And we will be definitely doing a season finale wrap up. We'll see about getting hated on for like a season wrap, full spoiler type of thing. I think that'd be interesting to talk about, like where this
Yeah.
is going, what changes we've seen,
Yeah,
large
what we're looking
scale,
forward to
like
in the
how
next.
did they construct things story
Yeah,
wise. That's I feel like looking at these adaptations from like a 10,000 foot view is kind of interesting.
Yeah. I
Cool.
agree.
Thanks, Josh. Thanks, Jake. See you guys later.
Thanks, guys.
See you guys.
Peace.